Hello and welcome back YouTube. I know it's been a while since I've done a video, so I'm so sorry about that. So today I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I put a video together of what I get up to on the weekend. So it's a little bit different to what my videos normally are. I'm normally sitting down and we're talking about something informative. But as it's my first video back, I thought I'd put something together which is a bit more entertaining. Now the best part about this video is that I will reveal my secret pancake recipe and we'll go through all that and you can see how I made that. And I also went and trained with my mate Kieran Lilly and we ran through a biceps and triceps session. So I will go through that session and kind of break down the exercises and explain what we're doing there. So hopefully you enjoyed this different type of styled video. If you do, then please let me know and I'll produce more content like this, or if you prefer me speaking about certain topics and the more informative stuff, then I'm more than happy to keep pumping out that type of content. So just please feel free to message me, drop a comment or whatever, just let me know what content you're feeling and I will go ahead and produce more stuff of that nature. The banana you see in this video does look a bit battered. Now it's meant to be like that. If you use a banana that is too ripe, then you won't get a nice texture and it's not as sweet, so I tend to go for a banana that just has a little bit more brown colour to it rather than bright yellow. Now if any of you are interested, I've pinged up the macros on the screen so you can see how many calories in there and your macronutrients. Now on the weekend I do actually find it quite difficult to consume a high amount of calories compared to when I'm at work, because when I'm at work I've got like a routine, I've got set breaks and I'll just eat on every break, so it's fairly straightforward. Whereas on the weekend I just tend to be a little bit more loose and there isn't so much routine in place that I just find it difficult to eat more food. So what I tend to do with the meals that I eat on the weekend, I try to make them really calorie dense, so basically make them high in calories. Now that just means that I don't have to eat as much, but I'm still taking in a high amount of calories and hitting my protein targets. So that's what I recommend. If any of you struggle to eat a lot of food and you're bulking up, try and think about making your meals like calorie dense. Try and think about trying to put a lot of calories in there. So a good example of this would be saying if you was just having a traditional bro meal like chicken, rice and veg, which is boring, but say if you were anyway, think about adding like olive oils and all these different types of sauces to it. That could quickly add an extra 100, 200, 300 calories onto that meal. So you just want to try and make your meals really calorie dense if you do struggle eating calories. So the opposite is true. If you're trying to lose weight, you obviously don't want to make your meals calorie dense, you want to make them calorie light and you want to fill them up with lots of volume. So by doing this you could add lots of vegetables and stuff that will add more food to the plate essentially, so increasing the volume of the plate, but it won't carry as many calories. So that's kind of like the methods I do when I'm cutting and bulking. So now to the juicy bit of the video. I now go and train biceps and triceps with my mate Kieran Lilly. You can find him on Instagram as I'll ping up his username here. It was one of my first sessions back properly since I went skiing and had this shoulder injury that I picked up from skiing, so training recently hasn't actually been that great, but this was the first session back that I've actually was able to enjoy it and not get too much pain in my shoulder. So that's really good, but that's a subject for another video. I'll go into how I actually healed my shoulder to an extent by doing some mobility routines. That is a separate video that I will record and post at a later date. So anyway, we went in and smashed biceps and triceps. I'll now walk you through some of the exercises we did and give you a little breakdown on some tips and some pointers going forward if you want to try this session out for yourself. The key is for this exercise is that you don't want to use too much momentum, or you don't really want to use any momentum at all. Now you may naturally sway a little bit, that's okay, but you really want to try and keep your body still and just let your biceps do the work versus throwing the weight around, as that will just take a lot of tension away from the biceps, which is obviously one of the intended muscles of this exercise. Now we move on to barbell skull crushers. Now the key tip for this exercise is to keep your elbows tucked in. You don't want your elbows flaring out during this exercise. Now as Kieran's lovely demonstrated here, he's kept his elbows tucked straight in, he's come down in a controlled manner and then raised the bar all the way back up so his arms are locked out straight. Moving on, we then do dumbbell incline bicep curls. Now the key for this exercise is that when you sit back on the bench, you want to make sure that your arms are pushed behind your body. Now the reason is for this is because it adds an emphasis of tension on the long head of the bicep versus the short. Now this doesn't mean that it isolates the long head of the bicep. You can't just isolate one muscle on the biceps, both will get some tension, but by putting your arm behind your body you will just add an emphasis of tension on the long head of the bicep. Now another thing to take away from this exercise is, again, you don't want to be using any momentum and swinging your arms up. Some people do tend to like drive their arms up when they do this exercise. You just want to keep your arm, like I said, behind your body, keep it locked in place, and then just use the bicep to curl the dumbbell up. So next we move on to a tricep exercise, which is tricep rope pushdowns. Now the takeaway from this exercise is that you just want to slightly lean over a little bit when you're conducting this exercise. I see a lot of people standing up completely straight when doing it. Now this isn't the best way to approach this exercise. I'd actually lean forward slightly as demonstrated here and then slowly bring the rope down in a controlled manner. Again, it's important that you make sure that your arms lock out completely, because if they don't, then you're not allowing that tricep or the three heads in the tricep to go for the full range of motion, which is obviously important when wanting to build muscle. You want to run through that full range of motion. It's really important that you do that. Now, if you're not using the full range of motion for most exercises, it's probably because you're just going too heavy or you don't know how to perform the exercise correctly. So if that is the case, then just don't be afraid of making the weight a little bit lighter and then do it properly, because at the end of the day that's going to be more beneficial than, you know, not conducting the exercise correctly but you're throwing more weight around. It doesn't really make sense. It's just ego lifting is not the best method going forward when wanting to build muscle. So don't be afraid of just making the weight a little bit lighter. If that's going to make you perform that exercise a lot better, then just do it. Trust me, it's a lot better in the long run. So moving on to a bicep exercise. In this exercise we are performing the waiter curl. I've only implemented it in my training routine for a few weeks, but I really do think it's a good exercise. Again, this exercise actually targets the long head of the bicep. So the long head is, if I was to tense my muscles here and you'd see the peak, that is the long head you'll see it. Now the short head of the bicep is what would be known as the width of the bicep. So anything when we're using a wide grip will tend to add more emphasis towards the short head. Anything when we're using a close grip or putting our arms behind our body will tend to add more tension towards the long head of the bicep. So moving on to another tricep exercise, we performed the close grip push-up, also known as a diamond push-up. Now I think this is a great exercise because it really does target the triceps, but it's also very functional. Even beginners will find it a very easy exercise to do. So it's a great exercise for beginners and it just hits the triceps very well and it's functional. So it's an all-round great exercise in my opinion. The key is for this exercise is to keep your hands close together and then to come all the way down, hold, and then push all the way back up. Again, locking out your arms so that your triceps are getting the full range of motion. So moving on to the last exercise, of course it's a bicep exercise and it is the barbell bicep curl. Now we actually didn't put any weight on this, we just did the bar, which is 20 kilograms, and we just went for a higher amount of repetitions. Now we did this just because we fancied to get a nice pump on at the end of the session. Now there's no better way obviously than getting a bicep pump than just doing barbell bicep curls. So the key is for this exercise is to obviously, again, don't use momentum, don't go throwing your back around. You just want to try and keep your body still, even lean forward slightly if you want to. Just think about using the biceps to bring the bar up and then lower the bar down. After that training session with Mr. Kieran Lilly, I then went and made myself a lovely post-exercise meal. Now this was salmon, veg and sweet potato mash. Again, another very calorie dense meal. Now salmon does tend to be very calorie dense due to it being fatty. Now again, this supports my goals, so I'm not saying that you should go and eat that, it's just what I like eating and it supports my goals of bulking. So it's just another easy meal to get in and get a lot of calories in and hit my macronutrient targets. Then after my lovely hot shower and then done 90 minutes of focused work. Now when I do my work, I do like to break it up into 90-minute cycles. I just find that I can focus very well for 90 minutes versus if I was to set 2 or 3 hours where I may just lose a bit of focus and I tend to procrastinate or not just get as much work done. But if I set myself 90 minutes, I just tend to get a lot done within that time. Now this could be due to fall into Parkinson's law, which states whatever time you allocate to a task, time would expand and fill that time frame. So if you set yourself 5 hours to tidy your room, time would expand and it will probably take you 5 hours to complete that task. Versus if you set yourself half an hour to do it, again time would expand for that half an hour and you'll get it done within half an hour. What I recommend, if you want to get a nice amount of work done, set yourself 90 minutes, put your phone on airplane mode, don't have any distractions, and then go and blitz out the work. Now this evening I was actually going out to friends, so it's even more important that I just sat down and got the work done, because I don't want to put things off to the next day. I just wanted to sit down, get my work done, and when I'm out with my friends I can be present with them and enjoy the moment instead of worrying about work I've got to do. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I know it's a bit different to what I usually do. If you like this style of video, then please let me know and I will make more content like this. Now I won't do too many day in the lives because they'd be pretty fucking boring, because I just go to work, I come home, go to the gym, eat and go to sleep. But on the weekends I can schedule in and book fun things in my calendar and get some cool content put together. I can also get some more content of me training and actually go through the way I train and maybe give you a bit more detailed explanation on some of the exercises. So again, thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it. Please hit subscribe and follow me on my other socials where I do post fitness content on there too. It'd be great to hear some feedback from you, or just message me if you've got any questions related to fitness. I'll be happy to help. Again, thank you very much. I will see you in the next video.